My name's Donald Bowman and I'm a service culture coach working with Seaside Dining. I've spent 30 years in the luxury hotel business working in some beautiful hotels around the world, but always operating at the highest levels of service in the luxury industry. I now take that experience and I help companies like you improve your culture and improve your service to levels that others can only hope to achieve. We've created a service culture statement for Seaside Dining that will serve as your daily reminder of your commitment to service and excellence in all that you do. Our CEO, Garen Grieve, is really passionate about our restaurants at Seaside Dining delivering service levels that are higher than any other restaurant in the Denny's brand and the Jack in the Box brand, maybe even in the world. We want to do that through you, our employees. And it's really important that we then give you all the tools that you need to deliver service and deliver service excellence and service from the heart in a way that really matters. Garen's really passionate about seeing all his restaurants in the group grow and prosper. And they're all really very successful already today. And so great news for you, you're joining a really successful group. But we definitely see the next way for us to continue our growth, to continue our improvement, is to continue improving our service experience for both our guests, but also for each other. So this talks about how we work together as much as how we serve our guests. So we've created a new service culture statement for Seaside Dining Group, and I'm going to read it to you now. We at Seaside Dining Group, we're empowered to serve, we're inspired to exceed, but always with kindness. Take a look at that up on the screen right now. Think about that for a moment. Think about what words in there really resonate with you. Are there some words in there you're like, gosh, that's powerful. I'm glad that's in there. I think there's 5 key words in this service culture statement that I want you to use as a daily reminder of your commitment to service, as your commitment to our guests and their experience every day. The 5 key ingredients that are in there, of course, are empowered, serve, inspired, exceed, and kindness that is at the heart of it all. Today I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about each of those and tell you a little bit more about how you can bring them to life, how you can bring them to work each day and play your part in delivering our service culture statement. So let's start with serve, not empowered. If it's okay, I'm going to go out of order because this has all been created at Seaside to ensure that we're delivering great service for each other and for our guests. It's at the core of why we're here. Think about when you walk into a restaurant like a Denny's or a Jack in the Box and you look around, how do you know if people are enjoying great service? You know it because you see images like this or faces like those that you see on screen now. Smiling faces from ear to ear. And that could be our staff, our team members, or our guests. Look at this handsome chap from Las Vegas, a customer in Las Vegas. He's clearly enjoying his experience over there. So really that's the end goal of all that we do in giving great experience to our customers. So let me describe a little bit more what I mean by excellent customer service. For me, I think it's about constant, warm, caring hospitality and just good manners. Think about the manners we were taught as children, saying please and thank you, asking to get up from the table, letting someone else walk through the door before you, offering to help carry a heavy box. That's at the core of everything that service is. But this warm and caring hospitality is something that exists in most of us, not all of us. And I don't doubt that you're here and you've been selected because you already have that in you. But excellent service is also about being thoughtful and anticipatory. It's really thinking about others before yourself. When we're in the workplace like a restaurant, it really is about putting everyone else first And that could be another colleague of yours as much as it is a guest. It's also about being anticipatory, by which I mean really thinking ahead to figure out what a guest needs before they maybe even know it themselves. By using your skills of observation to see if something's missing from a table and rush to get it to the table before they even realize it's not there. That's thoughtful, anticipatory service. It's also, at its core, what I've realized I'm here on earth to do. I've been in luxury hotels and restaurants my entire career, 30 years. And every day I'm reminded that I'm really doing it because I really just want to help people and make them happy. If you just remember that, at its core, that is what service delivery is all about. Always wanting to help somebody, and your end goal is to make them happy. If you see them smiling after you've interacted with them, you know you've been given great service. So if you do nothing else but focus on helping and making people happy, you'll deliver great customer service. There's some great quotes about customer service as well that you might find helpful. There's one here I've got in front of me. Customer service is just a day in, day out, ongoing, never-ending, unremitting, persevering, compassionate type of activity. Gosh, it sounds exhausting, doesn't it? And I'm sure you're exhausted just listening to it. And if you've worked in a restaurant before, you know that normally you go home at the end of a shift feeling pretty exhausted. It's not just because you're running back and forth all the time, it's because you're giving yourself to others at all times. You're trying to help them and trying to make them happy, and that takes a lot of energy. So it is something that's going to be tiring, but it should be something rewarding for you. Another great quote about customer service is that customer service is an attitude. It's not a department. At Seaside Dining Group, our restaurants don't have a customer service department. It's you. In fact, it's everyone in your team. The restaurant is the customer service department. What does that mean? That really means that we're all responsible for customer service, anyone working at the restaurant, in any way, shape or form that is needed at that time. We can all multitask, we can all help each other out to do what needs to be done. The last great quote is about caring. Care about doing a good job. Care about your customers. Care about your company. Care about each other. And just as importantly, care about yourselves. I just finished saying you're probably going to go home pretty tired at the end of your shift. Well, make sure you do something for yourself at the end of that shift, just to give yourself a little extra recharge, because we want to make sure you come back to the next day with just as much energy and do it all over again in that unrelenting, persevering kind of a way as I was explaining. I want you to just take a moment now and think back to a time that you've received excellent service in your personal life, not at work. Take a moment to think about where that was and why it was memorable. As you're thinking about that, think about how that applies to you in your workplace. What was it that made it so memorable? And I'm going to bet part of it was that whoever was delivering that great service made a great personal connection with you. Take a story like that and share it with your team members. In fact, anytime something like that happens to you outside the workplace, or if you see another colleague delivering great service, when you're next in your next huddle or your pump-up meeting at the beginning of your shift, share that story as a reminder of what great service looks like. It's always great to learn lessons from it. One I can think of recently was there I was in my local supermarket, checking out as normal, beep, 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 everything going through, all got bagged up. I paid the bill and I was leaving, and Linda, the cashier, said, "Thanks very much, Donald, hope to see you next week." I was startled. I didn't expect a cashier in a grocery store to use my name. How did she do it? Paid by credit card, it comes up. It's so simple yet so powerful, and she took that time to make a personal connection. Probably like you, there's several grocery stores near home that I could choose from, but you better believe I go and find that store every week I go shopping. And I look out for Linda and I queue up extra long just to get into her line. That's the kind of personal connection we're looking to make at Seaside Dining Group. So why do we focus on excellent service? We have to remember that our customers have lots of choices of where to go for a meal. Could be the restaurant right across the street. Could be other similar restaurants. But running a restaurant and working in a restaurant is like tennis. The one that serves best wins. Now, if you like tennis, that's a great joke. But if you don't, it doesn't matter. The message is the same. We have to offer better service than our competitors to keep our restaurants busy, to keep the business full, and for our own good, for our own financial reward as well. And just be sure, if we don't take good care of our customers, we've got a competitor out there that surely would love to. Let's now move on to one of the other 5 ingredients that I mentioned in that service culture statement. This one's empowerment. Empowerment is something where I believe at Seaside Dining we've got a huge opportunity to make an impact and be far better than any of our competitors by you being empowered. Now, what does empowerment actually mean? If I was to open a dictionary and read out the dictionary definition, it might look something like this: having the knowledge or confidence or means or ability to do something or make decisions for yourself. It really means we're saying it's okay for you to make decisions in the workplace on your own without referring to a manager or asking permission. Now, we want you to use your best judgment for this. But really what we're saying is, when you're working with guests, when you're serving, when you come across a problem or you come across something that you could do to make that a very special meal or event for that guest, we're telling you that you are empowered to do it without asking, in the moment. And from a service perspective, as a guest, that's an incredible experience. If you can think of a time when that's happened to you, when maybe something's not been going well and an employee has fixed it on the spot and maybe done something a little extra beyond your expectations to make it right, remember how you felt? It was incredibly powerful. That's the atmosphere we have at Seaside Dining. That's the atmosphere that you're joining. And I think there's really 2 main types of empowerment for us to focus on. There's service recovery. So if you deal with a problem, we want you to know that you're empowered to fix it. But also, if you are serving a table and you see that something special is happening, or you feel there's a way you can do something special for that guest, you're empowered to do it. And we're here to make that as easy for you to do as possible. You are empowered because you will know what's best to do and what feels right to create magic or resolve a problem for your customer in that moment, better than anyone else in the organization will, because you are dealing with that guest face to face. Imagine it's a guest problem. No one else will really know how angry that guest is about something. Maybe you'll know. Maybe your hair is blowing in the wind that is coming from their voice because they're shouting at you so loud. You'll know it's pretty serious. Or maybe someone's just mentioning something, saying, in case you want to take this and try and get better. You'll know what feels best. So we want you to know that you are empowered to do what feels right. So let's talk about that first type of empowerment, being empowered to delight. That's where we're really listening and observing our guests to figure out something that we could do that's extra, that would be a surprise for them, that would really make something very special. It could be a birthday, for example, or an anniversary, or a single diner. To do this, we have to use our skills of observation and listening to really understand where those opportunities lie. Let's start with observing and being observant. What do you think you might be able to observe when you approach a table? What sort of things? It could be something that they need. It could be something that they need help with. It could be that across the restaurant you observe that they're trying to catch someone's attention and you know that they're looking for something. They could be wandering around the restaurant lost and your observation tells you that they're looking for a restroom or where to pay. So we must use those powers of observation to inform us when a guest might need something. But equally, it could be observing something they don't even know they need yet. Take a look at the picture that's up on screen now. What do you see in this picture? If you were serving this table, are there any clues on there that might tell you about a golden nugget of information that you could pick up on? Yes, that's right, of course. Maybe you've seen that there's balloons at the end of the table. There's a couple of birthday cards on there. So we can guess that someone's celebrating a birthday with us, which is fantastic. So now you can go to work with that information and say, what can I do to make this even more special? Perhaps you'll get a birthday card and get everyone that's working to sign it. If you've overheard their name, it can be, Dear Donald, happy birthday from all of us at Denny's, and you've signed it. It could be a small gift from the restaurant or a complimentary dessert. There's many things that you could do, and our team, our management team, is here to make those as easy as possible for you to deliver. But first, you have to find them out. And you do that by observing and, of course, listening. Listening is a really difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of concentration and a lot of attention. So let's play a listening game. Are you ready to play along? Great. I'm going to just read a story out to you, and all I want you to do is listen. Mr. Tanaka had an appointment to meet with Mr. Tamura. Mr. Tanaka was advised to go to the Hilton Hotel lobby and wait in front of the coffee shop in the lobby by 3 p.m. on October the 15th. He, however, was very thirsty by the time he arrived at the hotel, so he went to the gift shop and purchased a bottle of water for $3.89. He paid with a $5 bill, so the clerk, Tamara, gave him change of $1.11. Mr. Tamura was also informed to meet with Mr. Tanaka at the Hilton Hotel in front of the coffee shop in the lobby at 3 o'clock on the 16th. Mr. Tamura left his office early to meet with Mr. Tanaka because he was very concerned that there might be traffic and he didn't want to make Mr. Tanaka wait. He took a taxi and it cost him $18 to get to the hotel. It was 2:45 when he got to the coffee shop, and Mr. Tanaka waited for Mr. Tamura for almost 2 hours because he didn't see anyone standing in front of the coffee shop. What went wrong? Why did they not meet? Many of you might not know why not, because that was probably quite hard to listen to, for several reasons. One, I was going very fast. The words were choppy and back to back. It was very confusing with lots of different details flying at you. There was lots of different names, and they all began with T, of course. Tamura, Tanaka, Tamara, tomorrow, who knows? There was all sorts of other things in there, like dollar amounts and different times. And actually, the reason they didn't meet is because one was told to go on the 15th of October and one was told to go on the 16th of October. But you could very well have missed that because it was very difficult to listen to. On top of which, I didn't really give you clear instructions of what to listen for. So you didn't know whether it was dollar amounts, names, times, dates, places. So it was a very confusing exercise. And it's a reminder that listening is a very hard thing to do. So why is listening so hard? Well, first of all, research tells us that we think faster than we speak. Think about that and let me explain it. We speak at 125 words per minute, but yet we think faster. We think at 400 words per minute. So if someone's talking, we're using about 25% of our thinking abilities listening, but we can do so much more with the rest that's available. So inevitably, what does that mean? It means that our mind wanders and we're not concentrating anymore. It means we might be planning what we're going to have for dinner. It means we might be planning what movie to watch at the weekend. We might be planning in our heads what to do with our friends after work, as opposed to focusing on what a guest is telling us, and we might start missing the details. Also, we're very inefficient listeners. Research shows that we retain only about 50% of what we hear. It's kind of soul-destroying for me, thinking that maybe you'll only remember 50% of what I tell you while you're listening today. It's a reason that we suggest it's always good to take notes, because then you can remember these things even if you've forgotten them. Bad news for me is that listening gets harder with age. Our memory isn't quite as good. So as we get older, we have to get smarter about listening. The good news is that there's many good ways to improve our listening. The first is to always take good notes. And most of you will be in a position to do so because you'll normally be taking an order. So you can take notes of something else if someone's telling you. Or if you're taking an order over a phone, you'll be at a place where you can take notes. So always remember to take good notes to help with that 50% that you might forget. Help our customers know that you're listening because it helps you stay focused. And you can do that by acknowledging them along the way. You can do that with a nod of the head or an understanding comment like yes or of course or I see. It shows that they're listening, but it also mentally helps you stay focused. And also just stay focused on what they're saying and don't plan what you're going to say next. That will come naturally, believe me. You can also rephrase and repeat back to a guest what you've heard while it's still fresh in your memory. It helps to reinforce, it helps that 50% that we forget, but it also confirms that you've really had a good understanding. So lots of great tips to listen better. Another great tip, by the way, to really pay attention when you're listening is don't listen in passing. In a restaurant, we're very often in a rush, especially at busy times. We might always have our hands full because we're taking something back to the kitchen, but we always want to give our attention to our guest. And a great way to do that and stop looking like we're doing something on the way to doing something more important is to stop and turn our feet to point to the guest. And that focuses our attention on them and also demonstrates to them how important we feel they are. All of that is all about observing and listening to find these golden nuggets. These are different from chicken nuggets. These are golden nuggets of information that we're looking for that are going to help us customize and personalize and create unique experiences for our guests. And your managers will tell you about tools that you have in the restaurant with ease of access that you can use anytime to enhance a guest experience, whether it be blank birthday cards or tiaras to make a little girl look like a princess. So that's the first type of empowerment, empowerment to delight. The second type is empowerment to resolve. When you're dealing with a customer complaint, and unfortunately they will happen, we're in the business of human interactions and we all make mistakes and things happen. But when they do, and a customer brings that to your attention, it's a gift. We're fortunate that they're giving us a chance to fix it and be aware of it. But this is when you must feel empowered to do what feels right in the moment for that guest, whatever you believe that is. And from the CEO and owner of Seaside Dining Group, Garen Grieve, to your manager, to you, the message is clear. You're empowered to do what it takes. Now, we want to also protect the business. That might mean not giving away $10,000 worth of breakfast coupons. We don't always need to go to that extent, but do what feels right in the moment. You can always turn to your manager for help. You can always, if you're unsure, ask, but get used to the feeling of being responsible and being trusted. That's super important to us. Now, both at Denny's and at Jack in the Box, those two brands have great ways of handling guest complaints, and you'll get training on that as well. One is tact and one is care. These are great problem-solving models. I've got a 4-step model that I use that encompasses everything that both of them use. But I'm going to point out two key parts of that I want you to focus on. Step one is to listen carefully when the guest is sharing a complaint with you. We've talked all about what those listening techniques are already. It's important to let them let it out of their system too, so be patient. Listen as long as it is they want to share their problems. That'll deflate them, it'll take the energy out of the problem, and it will calm them down. Once you've listened, the most important thing you should do is apologize. This is often overlooked when someone's dealing with a complaint. And it's the single most powerful part of dealing with a complaint, the word sorry. We might not always be comfortable saying it, might not always want to say it. Sometimes we might have an opinion about that guest and whether it really is a real complaint or not. Maybe you might think they're trying to just get something for free. We have to trust them, and we have to demonstrate that we trust them. And part of that is by genuinely apologizing, using the word sorry. I'm going to take a moment to tell a story about a time in my career when I really learned this lesson personally. I was working in a luxury beach resort on the island of Bermuda, and I had 10 ladies that were staying with us for a reunion holiday. It was a very special trip that they planned for months. I've been working with one of the ladies to plan out all the details for this trip, from their snorkeling adventures to all their restaurants. It was the last day of their trip, and they'd all gone down to stay on this beautiful, soft pink sand beach that we had. They had a fantastic day. It was hot and sticky, but they were in and out of the beach. And believe me, that beautiful soft sand I talked about, it sticks to you everywhere. So they had to get upstairs and shower and change before they went for their grand finale dinner. Unfortunately, just before they'd gone upstairs, the water boiler for the entire hotel had broken down. There was no hot water in the building, which meant they all had to have a really cold shower to get ready for dinner. And it wasn't just a quick shower that you just hop in and hop out of, because they had sand stuck everywhere. It was just they had to have a good long shower, but a cold one. It wasn't a pleasant way to kind of round out this really fabulous trip that they were having. As they walked down through the lobby on their way to dinner, the ringleader looked at me and wagged a finger and said, "Donald, we need to talk about what just happened, but we're not doing it now. Be back here at 10 in the morning. We're going to discuss this further." And off they went to dinner. They had a wonderful dinner. I didn't have such a great sleep that night, though. I was so nervous about seeing them the next day. So I was there at 9:30, bright and early, ready and waiting for them. And sure enough, at 10 o'clock, they descend into the lobby and they circle around me. There's no getting out. I looked around and looked at each of them, and I started by saying, "Ladies, I am truly sorry for what happened last night. Please know we didn't intentionally pull the plug on the boiler. It's so unfortunate that it went out. And I know it meant you all had to have cold showers last night. I'm really proud of our engineers. They got it back online within an hour, but that wasn't soon enough for you. And I know it put a real damper on your stay. No pun intended. So I just wanted to say how sincerely sorry I am that we had that problem last night." And the ringleader looked at me and said, "Donald, that's all we needed to hear." And they walked off. I was standing there fully empowered, feeling ready to do what it took. In fact, I expected I was going to have to offer them one complimentary night each for the night before. That was a $10,000 problem in the making. I didn't need a 4-step resolution process. I just needed 2, because I offered a genuine apology. It was a $10,000 apology. Again, like I said earlier, you don't need to give out $10,000 worth of breakfast. I hope not. And that's not what this is about. It's a reminder that saying sorry genuinely, with eye contact and care, is often all we need to do. But once we've done that, we'll respond. And we'll respond in an empowered way. with whatever it is you feel is right in the moment for that guest to make it right. And then the fourth step, take action. Make sure it happens. It might be something one of your team members has to do. If that's the case, make sure they've done it. Because if we don't, our problem's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's one other tip for being empowered to resolve guest problems, and that is to make sure you don't ever do something a guest is allergic to. Our guests have lots of allergies nowadays, but the one allergy that they've always had is that they're allergic to the word no. So if you can, avoid using that actual word when you're dealing with a problem. There's other ways you can word it, and your manager can always work with you with other great suggestions. Could be, oh, unfortunately we can't do that. However, we could offer you this or this. And if you offer them two solutions without saying no, psychologically, mentally, you're going to make them feel immediately much better. They feel much more in control because they're now making a choice. And they feel great because they haven't had an allergic response to that word no. So try really hard and practice with your team members on how to respond to things without using that actual word. Now we're going to talk about being inspired. What does being inspired mean to you? What inspires you? Take a moment to think about that. For some of us, it's our family. For some of us, it's our children. We're inspired to work hard, to invest in them because they're so amazing. Sometimes we're inspired to be the best. We're inspired by our co-workers that we think do a better job than us and we want to be as good as them. The definition of inspiration in the dictionary is something that makes someone want to do something or that gives someone an idea about what to do or create. Or it could just be a good idea. So think about what inspires you. We at Seaside Dining want to inspire you. We want to inspire you to be your best. We want to inspire you to give great service to our guests. We want to inspire you to live our service culture statement by talking about it enthusiastically like we are today. So take that inspiration and use it to help you exceed. So our service culture statement is inspired to exceed. We want you to exceed our guest expectations. We want you to exceed your own expectations. And with all of that, we will exceed our expectations in all of our results. Here's some great reminders of what you can do to be inspired to exceed on a daily basis. The beginning of a day, say to yourself, every time I interact with a guest, I am going to be the best part of that guest's day. Most times we don't know what the guest day has been like. Some might be having a great day. Well, then it's hard to be the best part of their day, but we're going to really work at it. Maybe they're really having a rough day, but if we're going to be the best part of their day, that's really going to put a smile on their face. So that's a great goal to set out with at the beginning of your day. Another great goal is to always be or do things that are pleasantly unexpected. If a guest comes into one of our restaurants, they expect to order, they expect the food to come, and they expect to eat. But we want to be pleasantly unexpected in things that all happen that are above those expectations. The order's taken immediately, the food comes early, the food tastes better than they expected. And then you've created some of those moments of magic that we talked about because you're empowered, and that's truly unexpected in a pleasant way. So set out to be pleasantly unexpected. And also set out to make people smile. I talked earlier about helping people and making them happy. Well, you'll surely know if people are happy if you see a smile on the face like all of these on screen now. How can you help but smile when you see smiles like that? Set out with a goal to make people smile. If you go to a table and someone's really grumpy, keep working and working and working until they crack a smile and you know your work is done. It's a great indicator that you've delivered service excellence. Other ways you can do this and be inspired to exceed expectations are by showing a genuine sense of interest. That can be by turning your feet and giving them your absolute attention. It could be by paraphrasing and listening carefully, a lot of the things that we've talked about already. But it can also be through the enthusiasm of how you talk. Think about the words that you use and how you convey them. Some of us are quiet people and some of us are quite loud people, and they sound enthusiastic. But the words that we sound, whatever volume we use, can demonstrate enthusiasm. If you use the word brilliant or wonderful to describe something, that's you being enthusiastic about it. Someone might say, "Oh, could I have this for lunch, please?" That's a great choice. I love that dish. It's very enthusiastic and it makes them feel good. It draws you to them and makes it very personal. You can also use questions as a way to show interest. Using questions also helps you extract some of the golden nuggets. It could be that you just say, "How is your day going so far?" And they start telling you about their day and you learn that they just graduated, or that they actually have had a pretty rotten day and you've got a chance to just do one extra thing for them to put a smile on their face and make it a brighter day. It could be that you ask, is this a special occasion? Do you remember that table that we looked at in the picture earlier? We figured out someone was having a birthday, but it might have been an anniversary, or maybe someone was leaving a workplace and they were being celebrated. If you just ask a question, is this a special occasion? Now you're getting more about the golden nuggets that you can go off and do magic with. And it just shows that we care. We also want you to anticipate, and I know I mentioned that before, but anticipating a guest's needs show that you care about them, but it also saves them effort. You do that by watching all your tables and seeing what might be missing, whether it's napkins or a drink that needs to be filled up, or salt that's missing. It could be by anticipating that someone might need ketchup because of something that they've ordered. There's many ways we can anticipate and challenge each other to figure out who needs what in a restaurant and get it for them. And the way I like to think about it is that we're finding things for our guests before they even know they need them. And the last way to exceed guest expectations is by using a concept called the +1 concept. It's a fun thing to do with your team members, but it's something that's easy for you to use at any time. The challenge I lay out to you is to think about things that you're asked for, or things that people need, or things that people are expecting from you. Think about the most common ones. Think about what it takes to meet their expectations and fulfill their request. But then ask yourself, what's the one extra thing that I can do over and above this to make it magical, to make it pleasantly unexpected? If we start figuring out what those +1s are to our everyday tasks, and we start doing them all the time, and they're the things that we get asked for the most, hundreds of times in a day, thousands of times in a day across all seaside dining restaurants, we will be exceeding guest expectations without even thinking about it, barely even trying. And this is a challenge that I want you to work on with your team members and your manager, to constantly figure out how you can +1 things that you do all day, every day. The last part of our service culture statement is the thing that really is at the heart of all things at Seaside Dining. It's something that's incredibly important to our CEO and owner, Garen Grieve, and that is doing everything with kindness. This really is as much for our guests as it is for each other. Always think about your colleagues and what you can do for them. Think about our guests and think about what you can do for them. What can you do to make something easy for the next person? Are you always using those good manners that we talked about earlier? Always try and just be friendly with people. Don't avoid them. Make the first move. And do your part to create a happy team environment in the workplace. We want every restaurant to be a place that people love to work because they love working with each other. to have a sense of belonging in your workplace is incredibly powerful. Not only is it powerful for you, it is for your colleagues, and believe it or not, it makes the service better as well. And always do everything with a big old smile. Smile while you talk, smile while you're standing, smile while you're sitting, smile while you're at the host stand, smile while you're in the kitchen, smile at the front door, just smile. It's infectious, and it's at the heart of service. And if you focus on doing all of these things, just these 5 simple ingredients, then you are fit to be a wonderful employee of Seaside Dining Group, who's empowered to serve, inspired to exceed, and does it always with kindness. Thanks for listening, and welcome to our team.